Hello everyone and welcome back to the Scots Scheme with Macalester College football coach Tony Jennison. The Scots Scheme is a weekly program that gives you, the fans, the opportunity to ask the Macalester coach questions about the Scots, football or sports in general, or just seek the coach's wisdom about life or issues that may be addressing you these days. This week Coach Jennison talks to us about the big victory over Lawrence last week. He discusses the challenges in facing the Carroll University football program this Saturday, and he talks with us a little bit about the NFL and the challenges that college students face in hazing these days. So let's get right to the Scots Scheme.
So let's welcome back Coach Jennison this week. Coach, let's first of all begin with team updates and injuries that you may have for us.
On the injury basis, I think we're doing okay. Last week we actually got Phil Wedderston back. Phil's a very talented linebacker. He's a sophomore for us and was our freshman of the year last year, and plays a huge role on our special teams, not to mention on our defense as well, especially with certain packages that we do defensively. And last week he came back and made a huge impact. He was our defensive player of the game. So we're actually getting a little bit healthier in that regard. But it's that time of the year where there are injuries and some guys are a little banged up and are fighting through some of that stuff. I go into our training room before practice and we've got a lot of guys in there that are treating, in most cases minor injuries, but just things that nag them. So overall, I think we're pretty healthy.
Getting into last week's game, back-to-back huge weeks rushing the ball. What do you think are some of the keys that have allowed you to have so much success on the ground?
Well, I think it starts with our coaching staff and Coach Davies, our offensive coordinator, and Hal Reese, our offensive line coach, James Rosenberry, our running backs coach. They take great pride in that, and we've always been a team that's been able to run the football. And again, I credit Mark Davies with that first and foremost, because Mark was our offensive line coach for a number of years, and when he moved to the offensive coordinator role, we still had that continuity on our offensive line with the techniques that he's taught and his philosophy of really believing in running the football. So I think it starts there, and obviously you have to have talented players to pull that off. And Zandy Stoll has been amazing the last 2 weeks, averaging 190 yards plus in each of the last 2 weeks. Alec Beatty's come in and done a really good job, and the other backs have done well also. But also you have to open up holes for him, and we're getting pretty good play on our offensive line. Eben Johnson, to me, has stepped up this year and played with a lot of toughness, and has just been very sound, and he's been moving people up there and creating seams, creating lanes. And the other person that comes to mind is Liam Peebles. Liam is just an extremely tough and physical football player. I'm confident that the other coaches, when they watch our video, they see him, and he frightens people because of how physical he is. And if he's not a first-team all-conference player this year, then people are wrong in some capacity. I don't know how they do it in terms of a fullback type of position, but he's been very instrumental in terms of us running the football. So again, I think it starts with Coach Davies, his philosophy, and the other assistant coaches, with Coach Reeser and the techniques that he uses, and Coach Rosenberry coaching those running backs. But I also think that having the players is a big part of it, and we're fortunate to have some pretty good ones in terms of the running game.
I forgot to ask this, but was 416 yards a school record? Do you know?
I do not know. I'm under the impression it was not, because typically when we break records, our sports information director comes to me and lets me know that sort of thing. So I don't believe it was. I thought I heard rumors once upon a time that the record was like 480 yards in a game, or 490 or something along those lines. So I don't think it was a record, but I'm really not sure.
So Carroll, watch out.
I hope. I tell you what, if we could run for 480 yards against Carroll, I'll be a very happy man next Wednesday at this time.
There seems to be a different attitude with the offense since Benny Goldman became the quarterback. Do you think that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I do. I think that what Benny does well is he's very calm and collected, and he understands our offense, and he gets people in the right places, and he runs our offense very efficiently. So he's done a very good job in that regard. Since he's come on, we've been able to run the football very well, and we've been efficient enough in the passing game where we've been able to move the chains a little bit. Last week we struggled a little bit more in that regard. We were much better the week before against Beloit, but last week we struggled. But it was okay because of how well we were running the football, that we didn't worry about it a whole lot. So yes, I think Benny's done a nice job of getting everybody on the same page and really leading the offense, because it's going to run through your quarterback. Doesn't really matter what level you're at or what type of offense you run. It's going to run through your quarterback, and Benny's done a good job of leading the offense.
Alec Beatty had another huge week for you. I know you don't want to limit how you use him, but is there a point where you say you have to limit how often you use him?
I think if you asked Alec about that, he would say no. But as a head football coach, I think there is a limit to it. I certainly don't want him to break down. I want him to be healthy enough to finish the season. And, it seems as though that since his success on both offense and defense, Coach Rosenberg, our special teams coordinator, is coming to me weekly wanting to use him in different areas on special teams, and now he's basically what started as just a temporary defensive replacement to help us out in a certain package has turned into him basically playing darn near every down on defense lately. So for me, yes, there is a point where we have to limit him because, again, I don't want him to break down. I want to do what's best for his body long term. But I do believe that he is special, and I know that he'd say that he can play every snap both ways. But I do think that we need to be sensitive about that a little bit too.
So Alec, get your cleats on for kicking.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got for you.
Yeah.
So your defense comes up against Lawrence, 120 yards passing. Now, in a score where they're clearly having to pass for a majority of the game because of the way the score had worked out, that's a really quality outing by your defense.
Yeah.
The last 2 weeks, 121 yards. The previous week, 120 last week.
Yes.
What are some things that are going on with your secondary there?
I think it's secondary is playing well, but I think it's a total defensive effort because you need to have pressure up front. You need to have good underneath coverage with the linebackers. I think what we're doing, what Coach Mullenbach and his staff does very well is we mix things up. We throw different looks at people. We play base defense. We bring pressure. We change it up. In long yardage situations, our dime package has been very successful for us over the years, and that was really the creation of Coach Coonsey back from when he played here at Macalester. We brought it back from the mid '80s, the coverage they use and what we're doing out of that. So, we have played very well defensively over the past, for the better part of the season, to be honest with you. And certainly shutting down a team's passing attack is going to be critical, especially this week against Carroll, because their quarterback is a really talented guy. He's someone we competed against last year, number 18. And they've got a talented group of athletes that play alongside of him, especially number 12, Kevin Jennings. So we will need to shut them down this week in terms of their passing game. But if we focus too much on the passing game, they're talented enough in the run game where they're going to hurt us. So, we have to be balanced. We have to be disciplined, and we have to make plays. That's really what it comes down to.
Speaking about that Carroll game, both of you come in 4-3. Besides looking at how you're going to try to limit the passing attack, are there some other keys, especially on your offense, that you're looking to have happen?
On our offense, it's the same every week. We need to move the chains. We need to, for us, I think we've proven we need to run the football to be successful, and fortunately, we've been able to do that at a pretty high level recently. But we also need to pass the football effectively. Carroll's a team that they're talented enough where we're not going to be able to just run the football or just pass the football if that's who we had been. Carroll's a team that has a lot of talent, and they're going to take away the things that we do well, in which case then it's going to open up other areas. My guess is they've seen how well we've run the football, so my guess is they're going to have a few schemes put in place where they're bringing extra people into the box to try to try to limit our effectiveness in the running game, in which case it's going to open up things in the passing game. So we need to take advantage of that if they present themselves. So we need to have balance on offense this week. There's no question. We definitely need to be able to pass the ball more effectively than we did last week. And we've had, I tell you what, we've had 2 really good days of practice this far this week. I think that being in the position we're in, our players are invigorated by that, and really like where we're at this point of the season, that we have a shot to do something special again. So we've got their attention, I know that, and we're looking forward to the challenge of Carroll this week.
You mentioned about Kevin Jennings, probably the toughest wide receiver your team's had to face so far this season. What are some things that you need to try to do to defend against him?
That's a tough one, because he's really talented. I definitely do think he's the best receiver we've seen all year. I know we were concerned about him last year in the game against him last year. So, for us, it's just basic football for us. Change up our schemes, throw different coverages at him, try to confuse the quarterback. I don't know that it's anything more than that. We need to do that, and then we need to be sound within those change-ups that we make. If we're running a 3-deep coverage, well, we need the guys in the right spot. Or if it's 2-deep coverage, we need them in the right spots. We just need to have everybody be on the same page, and then make plays when those opportunities arrive. You need a little luck too, because you hope that your play call is the right one for a certain play they have. Sometimes their play is a better play call for what you called. So sometimes it's a little luck, and you try to reduce the amount that it comes down to luck by scouting and tendencies and that type of thing. But ultimately, we need to be sound, and we need to make plays when it presents themselves. But I know defensively, we're gonna mix things up. We're gonna change it up on them, give them different looks, and throw different coverages at them. Play some base. I'm sure we'll bring some pressure at them too at some point, and they need to make plays when we do that.
You're 4-3 right now, but in prime position to still seek for the conference title. Is that something you're even thinking about at this particular point?
Nope, don't think about it. To me, it's we've got a philosophy around here. Next one wins. It's the next opportunity, doing our very best. And honestly, that I know people don't believe it because they think it's coach talk, but I don't think about that. I really don't. I think about Carroll and how we can get better today to put ourselves in the best position. And no, I don't think that way. I certainly hope our players don't. I get the sense that sometimes they do, which is an error on their part. You need to focus on right now, here and now, enjoy the journey, and worry about the final score at the end of the game, not 2 weeks before, or 1 week before, or even 2 quarters before. Focus on what you can control right now. So that's the message to the team. I hope they buy in, and I guess we'll see.
Heading to our fan questions this week, our first one comes from Seth from St. Paul, who says, Coach, the team is playing a lot better of late. What do you think have been some of the changes you've seen?
Well, I think we are conditioned a little bit better. That's been an emphasis from after our second game of the year, third game of the year. We've focused on a little bit more conditioning. I think it's also that time of the year where we've been practicing for 2 months now, so we're getting better with our schemes. We're playing better as a team. Where the defense is fitting better together, the offense is fitting better together, because we really need 11 men on the same page for each offensive play, for each defensive play to execute properly. And if someone's mixed up, there's a good chance that play is going to break down in some capacity. Sometimes it depends upon who messes up, because you can have mix-ups and still have success. But in certain situations, you need all 11, or you need certain 10 or certain 9 to do exactly what they need to do. And if they don't, you've got problems. So I think it's just a matter of execution. I do think we're better conditioned than we were earlier in the season as well. But I do know that we've got a tough stretch coming up. That we've played last few weeks. We've played teams the last 5 games we haven't played the top teams in the league. So that could be part of it as well, as now that we're going up against the 2 very top teams in the North Division, and they're very talented. They're well-coached teams, and we need to have our best effort if we're going to win the games that are left on our schedule, and certainly this one against Carroll this weekend.
Our next question comes from somebody identifying herself as Worried Mom. She says she had a son who graduated from Macalester and 2 others that are in college now. She's worried about some of the hazing kinds of things that are going on at those schools. She wants her sons to have fun, but is there a reason for her to be concerned about that kind of thing?
Well, Worried Mom, I think that I think that depends on where you send them. You know, if I think you can get a good idea of the type of place you're sending them. Certainly if you're talking about a football program, by meeting with the coaches and meeting with the players in the program. You know, if you come to Macalester College, I don't think you have to worry about that at all, because it's something that we don't tolerate. And I think the young men in our program know that we need all the newcomers on our team, so we're not going to treat them any differently. You know, we actually do some unique things here to get them connected with our program, the newcomers in our program, and that's an important thing for us. So I would say if you don't want to be concerned about those things, then make sure you're really getting to know the people that they're going to be surrounded with, and make sure you're sending them to places where people are going to care about them and where they're going to be important. And I guess that's about all I know about that. So I wouldn't be concerned, because if it were me, I'd make sure that I'm sending my children off to the right place where they're going to be surrounded by the right people. But hopefully you've done that already.
I understand that hazing is Macalester's, that they force some freshmen to solve 10 differential equation problems or something.
Good thing they didn't haze the coaches then, right?
Our next question comes from Ethan in St. Paul, who asks, he's watched a lot of NFL games this season where they've had overtime. Do you like the college idea of overtime better?
I do like the college idea of overtime better, because I think it's fair. In the NFL, it's determined really by a coin toss, and if a team can go down and score right away, then it's over, to my knowledge, if they can score a touchdown, which to me isn't fair. You're determining it. You're determining the game by a coin toss. You know, I know you start every game that way, but you also have halftime where the other team has its option coming out of half. So I do not think the NFL version is fair. That's why I do like the college version better, and that's probably why I turned down all those NFL jobs and why I'm here at Macalester right now, is because I don't like the overtime model in the NFL.
I don't blame you.
Yep.
Henry from St. Paul asks, is it hard for players at Macalester to balance academics and football, do you think? The classes seem like they're really a challenge.
The classes are challenging. It's a very rigorous academic environment, and it's not an easy balance here at Macalester, and I'm very aware of that as head football coach, which is why we run our football program, in my opinion, differently than most football programs in America. We need to be efficient. We need to be organized with our players' time so that they do have the opportunity to be successful academically, not to mention have a social life in college, because college should be fun as well. So we run our program a little differently here to make sure that our players are successful academically, but it is a challenge. Now, with that being said, last semester our team grade point average was a 3.41. We had that's 72 football players with a 3.41 grade point average. I don't think you're going to find that anywhere else in America. That's my bet. We had 90% of our players that are over a 3.0 GPA. So while it is a challenge, our players are handling that challenge very well, and having great success academically. I know it's rigorous. I know that they talk to their buddies that go to other schools, and our players have to study a lot more than some other places, but the payoff for that when they graduate is going to be greater in most cases, because they're going to have some very unique opportunities graduating from a school like Macalester. So it is a challenge, but it's definitely doable if you make the right choices within it. And again, I think our football program helps in that regard, because we try to be very efficient with our players' time, and I think overall we do a pretty good job of that.
Our last question comes from Jody from Mounds View, who'd like to know what your kids are dressing up for Halloween.
Oh man, this is horrible. I don't know. I'm a day-to-day type of guy, especially during the football season. And when we get to, is it Saturday? Halloween. Then I'll probably know at that time. Unfortunately, I'm going to be on the road. I'm really disappointed, actually, because I won't be able to go trick-or-treating with my children. It's been a really fun. It's one of the days I look forward to every year, and it's been fun. And this year we actually moved neighborhoods, and I really wanted to go in our new neighborhood, but I won't be able to, because I'll be back on the bus. I'll be on the bus returning to Macalester at that time. I do know that one of the girls is going to be Little Red Riding Hood, and I believe another is going to be a cowgirl, kind of like the Toy Story. I think it's Jesse
okay.
is the character's name in Toy Story. The other two I'm not exactly sure, so that's how great of a dad I am right now. I don't even know what they're dressing up for as Halloween. So sorry, Jody from Moundsview. I'll get on that though.
Thanks a lot for joining us this week,
Thank you,
Coach.
Rob. Appreciate it.
We want to thank Coach Jennison for joining us on the Scots Game this week. If you have your own questions you'd like to ask the Macalester coach, please send them to us at Tony Jennison at minorleaguesportsreport.com. That's Tony Jennison at minorleaguesportsreport.com. Please have your questions to us by Tuesday afternoon so we can give the coach a little bit of time to review them before we record the show Wednesday afternoon. I want to thank you for joining us this week. I'm Rob Paneer, the managing editor of the Minor League Sports Report, and we look forward to seeing you next week on the Scots Scheme.